I recently stumbled across a chilling post on X by a user calling themselves Black Tucker Carlson. The post declared it was on this day he realized it wasn't 1965 anymore. Attached was a video of an elderly white man, bloodied and beaten, with no context provided. The comments were a cesspool of sadistic glee, with some pro-black voices celebrating the violence as if the old man's pain were a badge of victory. To these cheerleaders, any suffering inflicted on a white person is a triumph, a twisted tally in a game of racial revenge. Meanwhile, white Americans are forced to walk on eggshells, appeasing the most egocentric and cruel elements within black communities, emboldened by progressive anti-racist organizations like the ADL, SPLC, and Color of Change. These groups, draped in moral righteousness, often excuse or conceal the most barbaric acts committed by black race haters, not only against whites but also against other blacks who dare to dissent. This is not a new phenomenon, nor is it unique to America. A Native American perspective rooted in the hard lessons of history reveals this as a symptom of a deeper cultural decay, a civilization abandoning its moral foundation to appease the loudest, most vengeful voices. The progressive establishment, which dominates media, academia, and institutions, has weaponized grievance while erasing the suffering of those it deems unworthy. Consider the work of Colin Flaherty, whose books White Girl, Bleed a Lot, and Don't Make the Black Kids Angry documented the epidemic of black-on-white violence in America. Flaherty's findings were dismissed, vilified, and buried under a barrage of lies by the progressive elite, who branded him a racist to avoid facing inconvenient truths. From the vantage point of a people who endured centuries of dispossession, this censorship is not just cowardice, it's a betrayal of the truth itself. The pattern extends beyond America's borders. In the UK, Muslim grooming gangs preyed on countless English girls, often with the complicity of authorities terrified of being labeled Islamophobic. The cover-up, still underexplored, mirrors the silence surrounding racial violence in the US. A Native American observer familiar with the sting of historical betrayal would see this as a modern echo of broken promises. Young girls sacrificed to the altar of political correctness. In South Africa, chants of "kill the white farmer, kill the Boer" ring out without global condemnation. Imagine the outcry if the targets were bankers or Jews. The establishment would erupt in righteous fury. But white farmers, their blood is invisible, dismissed by a progressive machine that thrives on selective outrage and weaponized offense. The progressive obsession with guilt has blinded the West to the universal capacity for cruelty. Native Americans who survived unimaginable loss know the cost of clinging to perpetual victimhood. Yet the progressive narrative elevates one group's pain while denying another's, calling it justice when it's merely cowardice. The elderly white man in that video, beaten and mocked, is not a symbol of historical oppression but a human being vulnerable and discarded by a culture that refuses to see his humanity. This is a moral failure, enabled by an establishment that feeds on division. The progressive anti-racists who control the narrative have no interest in reconciliation. They thrive on outrage, wielding grievance as a currency of power. A Native American voice, grounded in the resilience of a people who refuse to be defined by their wounds, would call for something different: courage. No race holds a monopoly on suffering or sin. True strength lies in confronting evil, whether it wears a hood, a badge, or a sanctimonious smile. Until we reclaim that strength, the bloodied faces of the innocent, white, black, native, or otherwise, will stand as a grim testament to our silence.